Right now, as the world above sleeps, creatures are moving through realms where light has never reached. In the deepest trenches of the ocean, in caves sealed for millions of years, in soil so dense that even shadows cannot form, animals are living entire lives without ever knowing what it means to see. They hunt, they rest, they raise their young in a darkness so complete it would be impossible for human eyes to adjust. And yet, in that endless night, life not only survives, but thrives in forms stranger and more wondrous than anything found beneath the sun. Tonight, we explore the hidden world of animals that live in complete darkness. These are creatures that have traded vision for senses we can barely imagine, beings that have evolved in silence for so long they have become the darkness itself. Welcome to Drowsy Discovery. Over the next 2 hours, over 100 gentle facts will carry you through the lightless corners of our planet. There is nothing to memorize, nothing to remember. Just listen and let your mind drift into the dark. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to exist where no sun ever shines? You are not alone. If these facts bring you peace tonight, consider subscribing and joining our sleepy community. A like or comment helps others find this quiet place too. Now let your body settle into stillness. Take one slow breath, feel your shoulders drop, and let the weight of the day ease away. There is nothing to do now but rest, and let the darkness become a comfort. Let us begin. Some animals have lived in total darkness for so long they have completely lost their eyes. Deep in the caves of Slovenia and in the endless night of the ocean floor, creatures exist that have no eyes at all. Not eyes that are weak or clouded, but eyes that have simply vanished over generations, leaving smooth skin where sockets once formed. Evolution does not waste energy on things that serve no purpose, and in places where light has been absent for millions of years, the ability to see became a burden rather than a gift. These animals have traded vision for other senses, developing skin so sensitive it can detect the faintest vibration, or nerves so refined they can taste prey from across a lightless chamber. In the darkness, they are not blind, they are simply perceiving the world in ways we cannot imagine. There are many ways to see, and light is only one of them. Where we would stumble, they move with quiet certainty. The deepest parts of the ocean exist in a state called the aphotic zone, where sunlight never penetrates. Below 1,000 meters, the ocean becomes a world without sun. This is the aphotic zone, from Greek meaning without light, and it stretches down for kilometers into the crushing depths. The water is so thick with darkness that even sensitive instruments would struggle to detect a single photon of natural light. The pressure is immense, the cold is constant, and yet life flourishes in forms that seem almost alien. Fish with teeth like needles drift through the blackness, while jellies pulse with bioluminescent glow, carrying their own pale fire through waters that have never known sunlight. The aphotic zone covers more of our planet than all the continents combined, and within it swim creatures that have never seen a sunrise. It is the largest habitat on Earth and the least explored. In this eternal midnight, the rules of life are written differently. Cave-dwelling creatures that never see light are called troglobites. The word troglobite comes from Greek for cave dweller, describing animals so perfectly adapted to underground life they could never survive above. These creatures are found in limestone caves, lava tubes, and underground rivers across every continent, sharing certain unmistakable features. Their skin is often pale or translucent, having lost the pigments that protect surface animals from sunlight. Their eyes have shrunk or disappeared entirely, replaced by elongated antennae or sensory hairs that sweep the darkness like delicate fingers. They move slowly, conserve energy carefully, and live extraordinarily long lives. A troglobite may spend its entire existence within a single cave system, never knowing that a world of color and light exists beyond the stone. For them, the cave is not a prison but a sanctuary, where stillness is not emptiness but peace. Many deep-sea fish have evolved transparent bodies because color serves no purpose in total darkness. In the sunlit waters near the surface, color is everything. It attracts mates, warns predators, and helps animals hide among coral and kelp. But in the deep sea, where no light penetrates, color becomes meaningless. Over millions of years, many creatures of the abyss have lost pigmentation entirely, becoming as clear as glass. Their muscles, organs, even bones can be seen through translucent skin, and this transparency serves as perfect camouflage. In a world where the only light comes from bioluminescent flashes, being invisible is the greatest defense. Some fish are so delicate they look like living ghosts, drifting through darkness without casting a shadow. Their bodies have become windows rather than walls, letting light pass through as if they were not there. Being seen is often a death sentence, so these animals have learned to disappear. The Ohm, a cave salamander, can survive without food for over 10 years. In the underground rivers of the Dinaric Alps, a pale creature known as the Ohm drifts silently through the darkness like a ghost. This cave salamander, sometimes called the human fish because of its pinkish skin, has adapted to extraordinary patience. Food is very scarce in the caves, arriving only when floods carry organic matter from the surface. And so the Ohm has evolved a metabolism so slow it borders on suspended animation. It can go a decade without a meal, surviving on reserves stored in its liver while its heartbeat drops to a whisper. The Ohm can live for over a century, spending those years in the same underground pools, moving little, needing less. Its eyes have vanished beneath the skin, but its other senses detect prey from movements in the water far too subtle for us to feel. Survival is not about speed or strength, but about waiting. Darkness is not empty, but full of sounds that light-dwelling creatures never hear. To human ears, the deep places of the earth and ocean seem silent, but this is only because we depend on light. Animals that live in complete darkness have developed hearing so acute that their world is as rich as ours, painted not in colors but in sound. The drip of water echoing through a cave chamber, the scrape of claws on stone, the faint hum of muscles twitching in a nearby body, these are the landmarks by which creatures of the dark navigate. In the ocean depths, whales sing songs that travel thousands of kilometers, while shrimp snap their claws loud enough to stun prey. The darkness is anything but quiet. It is a symphony of vibrations and pulses, of clicks and whistles and low rumbles that carry through water and rock with perfect clarity. For the animals that listen, the night is full of voices, and silence is simply a conversation we have not yet learned to hear. And from the first whispers of life in darkness, we descend now into the deep ocean, where pressure and blackness have shaped some of the strangest creatures on Earth. The anglerfish carries its own light source, dangling from its forehead like a lantern. In the crushing darkness of the deep sea, the female anglerfish has evolved one of nature's most fascinating adaptations. From her forehead extends a fleshy appendage tipped with a glowing bulb, a lure that she waves through the water like a fisherman's bait. The light comes from bioluminescent bacteria that live inside the bulb in a relationship benefiting both host and guest. In a world where food is scarce, this tiny lantern draws curious prey close enough for the anglerfish to strike with jaws that can swallow creatures larger than herself. She does not chase her meals. She waits in the darkness, her body still, her light flickering like a distant star. To the small fish that approach, the glow must seem like a promise of something warm in an otherwise empty void. By the time they realize their mistake, it is too late. The anglerfish has turned light into a weapon. Giant squid have the largest eyes in the animal kingdom, each the size of a dinner plate. The giant squid, that legendary creature, possesses eyes measuring up to 27 centimeters across, larger than any other animal alive. These enormous orbs are not accidents of evolution, but carefully engineered instruments designed to gather every photon in the dim twilight zone where the squid hunts. At depths of several hundred meters, sunlight fades to almost nothing, yet the giant squid can still detect faint silhouettes of prey and predators above. Scientists believe these eyes evolved to spot bioluminescent trails left by sperm whales, their primary predator, giving precious seconds to flee. The pupil is as large as an orange, capable of dilating to capture light human eyes would never register. In a world where seeing slightly more than your enemy means life or death, the squid has invested everything in vision. Those vast, unblinking eyes peer into the gloom with patience. The vampire squid lives at depths where oxygen levels would suffocate most other animals. Despite its fearsome name, the vampire squid is a gentle drifter inhabiting one of the most hostile environments on Earth. Between 600 and 900 meters below the surface lies the oxygen minimum zone, so depleted that most creatures cannot survive more than a few minutes. The vampire squid has made this suffocating darkness its permanent home. Its blood is remarkably efficient at extracting oxygen, its metabolism extraordinarily slow, allowing it to thrive where others perish. Rather than hunting actively, the vampire squid extends sticky filaments to capture falling organic matter, the gentle rain of dead material known as marine snow. Its eyes glow faintly in the darkness, and when threatened, it turns itself inside out, displaying fleshy spines that make it appear larger than it truly is. In a realm of suffocation and stillness, the vampire squid has found peace. Barrel-eye fish have transparent heads that allow them to look upward through their own skulls. The barrel-eye fish is one of the strangest creatures in the ocean, possessing a head so transparent you can see directly into its skull. Inside this dome of clear tissue sit two large, tubular eyes pointing straight upward, scanning for faint silhouettes of prey above. The fish drifts motionless in the twilight zone, its body hanging vertically, gaze fixed on the world above. When it spots something worth pursuing, those eyes rotate forward, tracking the target as it moves in. The transparent head is filled with fluid that protects the delicate eyes and allows light to reach them from any angle. For decades, scientists did not understand how it could see forward until cameras revealed the rotating mechanism within that crystal dome. In the deep sea, where seeing above is often more important than seeing ahead, the barrel-eye has evolved architecture that turns its skull into a window. The fangtooth fish has the largest teeth relative to body size of any fish in the ocean. In the deep ocean, where meals are rare and unpredictable, the fangtooth fish has evolved jaws lined with teeth so large they cannot fully close their mouths. These fangs, curved and needle-sharp, are designed to seize any prey that comes within reach and never let go. The fish itself is small, rarely longer than 18 centimeters, but its teeth are so disproportionately huge that special pockets in the roof of its mouth accommodate them when the jaws close. Living at depths of up to 5,000 meters, the fangtooth hunts by ambush, drifting motionless in the blackness until its lateral line detects the vibrations of approaching prey. Despite its fearsome appearance, the fangtooth is harmless to humans. In a realm where food is precious and encounters are rare, its oversized teeth ensure that nothing escapes once caught. Beauty is measured differently in the deep. Dumbo octopuses float through the abyss, using ear-like fins that give them their name. Among the most enchanting creatures of the deep are the Dumbo octopuses, named for the ear-shaped fins that flap gently on either side of their mantle, resembling the famous elephant. These soft, gelatinous animals drift through the abyss at depths reaching 7,000 meters, making them some of the deepest living octopuses known. Unlike their shallow water relatives, Dumbo octopuses lack the muscular mantles needed for jet propulsion, instead gliding serenely through the darkness with slow, graceful movements. They feed on worms, crustaceans, and small creatures they find on the seafloor, using their arms to guide food toward their mouths. Because they live so far from the surface, Dumbo octopuses have rarely been filmed, and much of their lives remains a mystery. In the crushing depths where they dwell, they move through the darkness with a quiet elegance that seems almost dreamlike. And deeper still, where even the bravest light fades, creatures have learned to create their own. Bioluminescence is so common in the deep sea that most animals there can produce their own light. In the darkness of the ocean depths, the ability to create light is not rare but remarkably common. Scientists estimate that up to 90% of deep-sea creatures can produce bioluminescence through chemical reactions within their cells or symbiotic bacteria living in their tissues. This living light serves many purposes, attracting mates, luring prey, confusing predators, and communicating with others of their kind. The colors range from the most common blue-green, which travels farthest through water, to rare reds and violets that only certain species can see. In a world without sunlight, bioluminescence has become the primary visual language, a way of speaking through the darkness. If you could descend into the deep ocean, you would not find blackness but a galaxy of living sparks, each flash telling its own story. Light in the abyss is not borrowed from the sun, it is grown. Some deep-sea creatures use red bioluminescence as an invisible flashlight. Most deep-sea animals can only see blue and green light, their eyes having evolved to detect the wavelengths that travel farthest through water. But a few remarkable species have developed the ability to produce red bioluminescence, a color that most of their neighbors cannot perceive. For these creatures, red light functions as an invisible searchlight, allowing them to illuminate their surroundings without being detected by prey or predators. Dragonfish and certain species of shrimp have evolved this secret advantage, scanning the darkness for food while remaining effectively invisible. To their prey, the red beam simply does not exist. This is evolution's equivalent of night vision goggles, a private window into a world that others cannot see. In the deep, the ability to see without being seen can mean the difference between eating and being eaten. The dragonfish can see its own red light, while its prey cannot. The dragonfish is one of the most fearsome and efficient predators of the deep sea, a slender and deadly hunter with a body like a black arrow and teeth so sharp they appear made of polished glass. What makes it truly remarkable is its ability to see red light in a realm where red is otherwise invisible. Beneath its eyes are specialized organs that emit a faint red glow illuminating potential prey without alerting them to any danger. To the shrimp and small fish it hunts, the dragonfish is utterly invisible, stalking them through what appears to be pure darkness. Its eyes contain unique pigments able to detect the red wavelengths its own body produces. This gives the dragonfish a predatory advantage few other creatures possess, the ability to see while remaining completely unseen. Possessing a sense that your prey lacks makes you a ghost among the living. And as these quiet wonders settle in your mind, there is no need to hold them tightly. Let each fact drift past like a soft current, carrying you deeper into rest. Take a breath, slow and easy, and let your body become as still as the deep ocean floor. Flashlight fish have pockets of glowing bacteria beneath their eyes that they can switch on and off. In the shallow waters of tropical reefs and the deeper zones below, flashlight fish carry living lanterns beneath their eyes. These bean-shaped organs contain billions of bioluminescent bacteria that glow continuously, producing a blue-green light visible from meters away. What makes flashlight fish remarkable is their ability to control this light very precisely. By rotating the light organs inward or covering them with dark tissue like eyelids, the fish can switch their lights on and off in complex patterns. They use this ability to confuse predators, making sudden direction changes in the dark, and to communicate with others of their kind. At night, groups of flashlight fish create dazzling displays of flickering lights, a silent conversation carried out in blinks. Each flash and pause carries meaning that only they understand. The cookie-cutter shark uses bioluminescence to disguise its silhouette from below. The cookie-cutter shark is a small predator, rarely exceeding 50 centimeters, but its hunting strategy is both clever and ruthless. Its belly is covered in light-producing cells that glow faintly green, matching the dim light filtering down from the surface above. From below, the shark becomes nearly invisible against the twilight, its silhouette erased by its own luminescence. Only a dark patch near its throat remains unlit, resembling a much smaller fish. Larger predators, drawn by what appears to be easy prey, swim upward to investigate, only to find themselves suddenly bitten by the hidden shark. The cookie-cutter takes perfectly circular plugs of flesh from its victims, including whales, dolphins, and even submarines. It does not kill its prey, simply takes a painful bite and disappears back into the darkness, leaving behind a mysterious wound. Jellyfish in the deep sea glow in colors no human eye has ever seen naturally. Deep-sea jellyfish drift through the darkness like living lanterns, pulsing with bioluminescent light in colors from blue and green to strange ultraviolet hues beyond normal human perception. Some species produce light that falls outside the visible spectrum entirely, wavelengths that may be seen by creatures with different visual systems, but remain invisible to our eyes. These jellyfish use their glow for various purposes, warning predators, attracting prey into trailing tentacles, or startling attackers with sudden flashes. Some can produce brilliant bursts of light when touched, creating a dazzling display meant to confuse and alarm. Because these creatures live so far from the surface, the colors they produce have never been seen by human eyes under natural conditions. Every image we have of deep-sea jellyfish is filtered through cameras and lights. Their true appearance remains a secret of the deep. And from the glowing waters of the abyss, we turn now to the ancient caves where darkness is even older. Some caves have been sealed from sunlight for over 5 million years. Beneath the surface of our planet lie caves that have been isolated from the world above for millions of years. These ancient chambers, sealed by shifts in rock and earth, contain ecosystems that evolved entirely without sunlight, without seasons, without any connection to the rhythm of day and night. The creatures living within them have never known a world with light. Their ancestors wandered into darkness so long ago that countless generations have come and gone in the unchanging blackness. The Muval Cave in Romania, discovered only in 1986, had been sealed for over 5 million years, and its atmosphere was found to be rich in hydrogen sulfide and nearly devoid of oxygen. Yet life thrived there, sustained not by the sun, but by bacteria that fed on chemical reactions in the rock. These caves are time capsules, windows into how life adapts when cut off from everything we consider normal. The Texas blind salamander has skin so pale you can see its organs through its body. In the underground waters of the Edwards Aquifer in Texas lives a salamander so pale it appears almost ghostly. The Texas blind salamander has spent so many generations in darkness that it has lost all pigmentation, its skin becoming translucent enough that the outlines of its internal organs are visible through its flesh. Its eyes exist only as tiny dark spots beneath the skin, no longer capable of detecting light. Instead, it navigates using specialized cells that sense vibrations and changes in water pressure. This salamander breathes through feathery red gills that stand out starkly against its white body. It spends its entire life in the dark aquifer, hunting small invertebrates in waters that remain a constant temperature year-round. To see one is to witness evolution's patient work over thousands of years, slowly erasing features that served no purpose in eternal night. Cave crayfish have lost all pigmentation and navigate entirely by touch and chemical signals. In the underground streams of limestone caves, pale crayfish move through darkness using senses that have nothing to do with sight. These ghostly crustaceans have lost all color over countless generations, their shells becoming translucent white, nearly invisible against the pale sediment of the cave floor. They navigate by sweeping long antennae through water, reading chemical traces left by food and potential mates. Their leg hairs detect the tiniest currents and vibrations, alerting them to movement nearby. Without eyes to distract them, their senses have become extraordinarily refined. A cave crayfish can locate decaying organic matter from across a pool by following the chemical trail it leaves. They live slow, careful lives, reproducing rarely over many years. In the silence of the underground, they have become masters of a sensory world requiring no light at all. The Kauai cave wolf spider is one of the only spiders in the world with no eyes at all. On the Hawaiian island of Kauai, in a series of ancient lava tubes, lives a spider that has completely abandoned vision. The Kauai cave wolf spider has no eyes whatsoever, not even the tiny remnants found in some other cave-dwelling arachnids. Its ancestors, surface-dwelling wolves spiders with excellent eyesight, wandered into these caves thousands of years ago, and over generations, their descendants lost what they no longer needed. In place of eyes, the spider relies on sensitive hairs covering its body and legs, detecting the slightest vibrations in the air and on the ground. It hunts by feeling the movements of its prey, tiny amphipods, and other invertebrates that share its lightless home. Found nowhere else on Earth, this spider is critically endangered. Yet in its small world of perpetual night, it remains a skilled predator, proof that eyes are not required to hunt. Blind cave fish can sense the presence of walls through pressure waves in the water. The blind cave fish has evolved a remarkable ability to perceive its surroundings without seeing them. Along its body runs a line of specialized cells called the lateral line, capable of detecting minute changes in water pressure. As the fish swims, it creates tiny waves that bounce off surfaces and return to its sensitive receptors. This allows the fish to build a detailed mental image of its environment, sensing walls, rocks, and obstacles before touching them. It is essentially seeing with pressure rather than light. Scientists have observed that blind cave fish swim just as confidently as sighted relatives, never bumping into obstacles even in unfamiliar chambers. Their brains have adapted to process this pressure information with precision. In darkness, where eyes are useless, these fish have found another way to perceive the world. They navigate through touch at a distance. Some cave beetles have wings fused shut because flight has no purpose in eternal darkness. In the confined spaces of underground caves, flight would be not only useless but dangerous. There is nowhere to fly, and the energy required to maintain working wings would be wasted entirely. Over time, many cave beetles have evolved wings that are permanently sealed together, their flying days forever behind them. The shell-like covers that once protected delicate wings are now fused into a single plate, and the flight muscles beneath have withered away. This saves precious energy where food is scarce. Instead of flying, these beetles have become expert crawlers, their legs growing longer and more sensitive to help them navigate rocky terrain in complete darkness. Some species have retained the outline of wings beneath their fused covers, a ghost of abilities their ancestors once possessed. In the caves, the sky has been forgotten. And in these silent halls of stone, creatures have developed senses that seem almost magical to those who live in light. The cave swiftlet navigates using echolocation just like a bat. In the vast cave systems of Southeast Asia, small birds called swiftlets fly through passages so dark that no amount of eye adaptation could help them see. Instead, they have evolved the ability to echolocate, producing rapid clicking sounds with their tongues and listening for the echoes that return. By analyzing these echoes, the birds can determine the position of walls, ledges, and obstacles with remarkable precision. They nest deep within caves, far from any source of light, building their homes from their own saliva on the rocky walls. When they leave to hunt insects in the daylight, they switch seamlessly from echolocation to vision. It is a rare ability among birds, shared by only a handful of species worldwide. At night, the caves come alive with the sound of hundreds of swiftlets clicking their way through the darkness. They have found a voice that can see. Cave millipedes can detect humidity changes so subtle they know when rain is falling above ground. Deep within caves, cut off from the sky by meters of solid rock, certain millipedes possess an astonishing awareness of the weather above. Their bodies are covered in receptors so sensitive to humidity that they can detect the slight increase in moisture that occurs when rain falls on the surface far overhead. Within hours of a storm beginning, water begins to seep through cracks in the rock, and the millipedes are already gathering in places where it will pool. This ability allows them to position themselves where food and fresh water will appear. Their sensitivity to moisture is so refined that scientists believe they may respond to changes in atmospheric pressure as well, sensing storms before they even arrive. In a world without seasons or daylight, these millipedes remain connected to the surface through senses we can barely imagine. They feel the rain they have never seen. The Om can detect the faintest electrical fields produced by the muscles of its prey. Beyond its extraordinary patience and slow metabolism, the Om possesses a sense that seems almost supernatural. Along its snout are specialized cells capable of detecting weak electrical fields generated by the muscles of other animals. When a crustacean or worm moves, its muscles produce tiny electrical impulses that radiate outward like ripples. The Om can sense these signals from considerable distances, tracking prey through total darkness without sight, sound, or vibration. This electroreception is similar to the sense used by sharks and rays, though the Om developed it independently. In the silent, lightless waters of its cave home, the Om lies motionless for hours, waiting for the telltale spark of nearby prey. When it finally detects a signal, it strikes with surprising speed. It hunts with a sense most animals do not possess. Some cave shrimp can sense vibrations in the water from several meters away. In the underground pools of cave systems, pale and delicate shrimp drift through the darkness with antennae so sensitive they can detect disturbances from remarkable distances. These sensory appendages are covered in thousands of fine hairs that respond to the slightest movement, whether from predators, mates, or food particles drifting on the current. A single footstep on the cave floor above can send vibrations through rock and water, alerting the shrimp to potential danger. They can distinguish between different types of vibrations, learning to ignore harmless ones while remaining alert to threats or opportunities. Their antennae sweep constantly through their liquid world, gathering information about a realm they cannot see. In the absence of light, these shrimp have become masters of reading the tremors that pass through the water. Every ripple tells a story. Whip spiders in caves have front legs longer than their bodies that sweep the air like antennae. Whip spiders are strange and ancient creatures, neither true spiders nor scorpions, though they resemble both. In caves around the world, species have evolved extraordinarily elongated front legs that they use not for walking but for sensing. These whip-like appendages can extend more than twice the spider's body length, sweeping through the air to detect prey, obstacles, and potential mates. Covered in sensitive hairs and chemical receptors, they gather detailed information with every delicate touch. The whip spider moves slowly and deliberately, always keeping one feeler exploring the space ahead. Despite their fearsome appearance, with large pincer-like front appendages, they are harmless to humans. In the darkness of caves, they have become patient hunters, waiting for their long feelers to brush against unsuspecting prey. Cave crickets have antennae that can be 3 times the length of their bodies. In caves across the world, crickets have evolved antennae of extraordinary length that allow them to explore their environment in detail without ever needing to see. These thread-like sensory organs, sometimes stretching 3 times the length of the cricket's body, are covered in thousands of sensitive hairs that detect air currents, vibrations, and chemical traces. They wave and sweep through the air constantly, building a picture of the surrounding space. The cricket can tell whether another creature is nearby, what direction it is moving, and even what species it might be. In complete darkness, these antennae replace eyes entirely. Cave crickets spend their lives slowly exploring their rocky chambers, their impossibly long feelers always reaching out ahead, testing the darkness before them. They are perpetually reaching into the void, curious about what lies just beyond their bodies. And from the stone corridors of caves, we move deeper into the earth itself, where life exists in darkness beneath our feet. The star-nosed mole has a nose covered in 22 fleshy tentacles that can identify food by touch in milliseconds. The star-nosed mole possesses one of the most sensitive and unusual sensory organs in the animal kingdom. Its nose is covered in 22 fleshy appendages arranged in a star pattern, each one densely packed with thousands of touch receptors called Eimer's organs. These tentacles sweep across the mole's environment at remarkable speed, touching up to 12 objects per second as the animal forages through dark underground tunnels. The brain processes this information almost instantly, allowing the mole to identify whether something is food or debris in just a few milliseconds. Scientists have measured the star-nosed mole as the fastest-eating mammal on Earth, capable of detecting, identifying, and consuming prey in a fraction of a second. In the darkness of its tunnels, speed matters more than sight. Its bizarre nose has become its most powerful tool. Naked mole rats live in underground colonies and are nearly blind despite having tiny eyes. Beneath the dry soils of East Africa, naked mole rats have built complex societies that operate entirely in darkness. These wrinkled, hairless rodents live in colonies of up to 300 individuals, connected by elaborate tunnel systems that may stretch for kilometers. Though they possess tiny eyes, their vision is nearly useless in the lightless world they inhabit. Instead, they rely on sensitive whiskers and large front teeth to navigate their environment and find food. Their social structure resembles that of bees or ants more than other mammals, with a single queen who produces all the offspring while workers maintain the tunnels. Naked mole rats can live for over 30 years, far longer than similar-sized rodents. They rarely feel pain from cuts or burns, and they are almost immune to cancer. In their dark underground realm, they have found ways to thrive. Some earthworms can detect light through their skin, even though they have no eyes. Earthworms have no eyes, yet they know when they are approaching the surface. Scattered across their skin are specialized cells containing light-sensitive proteins that respond to brightness, particularly the dangerous ultraviolet light of the sun. When these cells detect increasing light, the worm retreats deeper into the soil where it is safe from drying out and from predators. This simple form of light detection does not produce images, but provides just enough information to guide the worm's behavior. It is vision reduced to its most essential purpose, knowing when to hide. Earthworms spend their lives tunneling through soil, aerating the earth, and recycling organic matter, all without ever truly seeing the world they help to create. Their entire skin serves as a primitive eye, always aware of the light above that they instinctively avoid. The marsupial mole of Australia is so adapted to underground life, it has no visible eyes or ears. In the sandy deserts of Central Australia, a small golden creature swims through the sand as easily as a fish moves through water. The marsupial mole has become so completely adapted to underground life that external features like eyes and ears have vanished entirely. Its fur is silky and pale, resistant to the abrasion of sand, and its nose is protected by a tough shield. It spends almost its entire life beneath the surface, occasionally emerging at night only to dive back down again. Because it rarely uses the same tunnel twice, letting the sand collapse behind it as it moves, scientists know remarkably little about its behavior. It is one of the most mysterious mammals on the continent, a creature that has traded the sunlit world for a life of constant darkness beneath the dunes. For this small animal, the surface is merely an interruption. Golden moles use their skulls to detect vibrations from insects walking on sand above them. Golden moles in the deserts of southern Africa have developed a remarkable and unusual way of hunting that relies not on sight or sound, but on vibration. Their skulls have become highly specialized hearing organs, with enlarged malleus bones that conduct vibrations from the ground directly to their inner ears with extraordinary sensitivity. As they lie buried in the sand, they can detect the footsteps of insects walking on the surface above them. When they sense prey approaching, they burst upward through the sand with astonishing speed, capturing their meal before it can escape. This ability to hear through their bones allows them to hunt with their eyes closed and their bodies completely hidden. They have become master ambush predators in a world of total darkness and shifting sand. For them, the earth itself carries sound and tells secrets. Cicada nymphs live underground in complete darkness for up to 17 years before emerging. Beneath fields and forests across North America, cicada nymphs spend years in complete darkness, feeding on the sap of tree roots and growing slowly toward adulthood. Some species remain underground for 13 or 17 years, among the longest developmental periods of any insect. During all those years, the nymphs never see sunlight. They tunnel through soil, molting several times as they grow, guided only by chemical signals and the rhythms of an internal clock that scientists still do not fully understand. Then, when their time finally arrives, they dig upward toward the surface, emerging in vast numbers to shed their final skins and become the buzzing adults that fill summer nights with song. The years of darkness are preparation for just a few weeks of life in the light. For cicadas, patience is measured in decades. And beneath the soil, where roots reach down and water seeps slowly through rock, some creatures have found ways to thrive in places we never imagined life could exist. Bacteria living in deep rock formations have been isolated from the surface for over 2 billion years. Kilometers beneath the Earth's surface, in cracks and pores within ancient rock, bacteria have been discovered that have not seen sunlight or surface water for billions of years. These microscopic organisms survive on energy derived from chemical reactions in the rock itself, feeding on hydrogen and other elements released by geological processes deep within the planet. They reproduce extraordinarily slowly, dividing perhaps once every few thousand years, and their DNA has remained almost unchanged since before the first complex life appeared on Earth. They represent a kind of living fossil, a glimpse into what the earliest life on our planet may have looked like. For these organisms, the surface world might as well not exist. They are living proof that life can persist in places we once thought impossible, surviving on nothing but rock and time. The devil worm lives over a kilometer underground in water that would scald human skin. More than a kilometer beneath the surface of South Africa, in water heated to over 37 degrees by the surrounding rock, scientists discovered a tiny nematode worm that defies everything we thought we knew about the limits of complex life. Named the devil worm after its hellish habitat, this creature is less than half a millimeter long, but represents the deepest living animal ever found. It feeds on bacteria in the dark, hot water that flows through cracks in the rock, apparently unbothered by conditions that would kill most surface organisms. The discovery of the devil worm has forced scientists to reconsider where else in the universe life might survive, perhaps on moons or planets once thought too hostile to support anything complex. In the deep darkness of the Earth, this tiny worm has rewritten our understanding of life's boundaries. Cave snails, the size of rice grains, have been found in the deepest cave systems on Earth. In the deepest cave systems in the world, explorers have discovered tiny snails no larger than grains of rice, living in total darkness far from any source of light. These miniature creatures have translucent shells and pale, ghostly bodies, having lost all pigmentation over countless generations of isolation. They feed on bacteria and organic matter that washes in from the surface, surviving on quantities of food so small they would be invisible to human eyes. Their reproduction is slow, their movements unhurried, and their entire lives are spent within a few meters of where they were born. Because they live so deep underground, many species have never been scientifically described. Each cave system may hold snails found nowhere else on the planet. In the smallest corners of the darkest places, life still finds a way to flourish. Underground aquifers hold creatures that have never been exposed to surface water or light. Beneath the continents, vast aquifers of water flow slowly through porous rock, carrying with them creatures that have never known the surface. These underground ecosystems are completely isolated from sunlight and from the rain-fed waters above, sustained instead by water that has filtered through rock for centuries. The animals living there have evolved in total darkness, developing specialized senses and losing features they no longer need. Blind shrimp, colorless beetles, and microscopic worms all call these hidden waters home. Because aquifer systems are so difficult to access, scientists believe many species remain undiscovered. Some aquifers are connected underground across vast distances, meaning creatures may migrate through subterranean highways beneath our feet. It is a hidden world, as mysterious to us as the deepest ocean. And as you rest here with these quiet truths, imagine that same stillness settling over your body. There is no rush, no urgency. Let your breath become slow and rhythmic, like water dripping slowly in a cave that has known only peace for millions of years. Some isopods in underground waters have metabolisms so slow they age almost imperceptibly. In the lightless waters of underground caves, certain isopods have evolved to live at a pace that defies our understanding of time. Their metabolisms have slowed to the point where biological processes that take hours in surface animals may take weeks or months in them. They move little, eat rarely, and grow so gradually that scientists measuring them over years have sometimes struggled to detect any change at all. This near-suspended state of existence allows them to survive in environments where food arrives unpredictably and energy must be conserved at all costs. Some cave isopods are believed to live for decades, perhaps centuries, growing old so slowly that the concept of aging seems almost meaningless. In their timeless world of darkness and stillness, hurry serves no purpose. They have learned that patience is the oldest survival strategy of all. Amphipods living in cave lakes have lost the circadian rhythms that govern surface animals. On the surface, nearly all animals live by an internal clock that follows the rising and setting of the sun. This circadian rhythm governs when we sleep, when we wake, and when our bodies release certain hormones. But in caves where no sunlight has entered for millions of years, this clock has stopped ticking. Amphipods living in underground lakes have lost the genes and proteins that create circadian rhythms, their bodies no longer expecting the light that will never come. They eat when food is available, rest when they are tired, and move according to rhythms we cannot predict. Without the pressure of day and night, Their behavior has become remarkably flexible. They have been freed from the tyranny of the sun, adapting instead to a world where time has no external meaning. For them, every moment is the same, and that sameness has become their peace. Blind cave catfish in Mexico use taste buds covering their entire bodies to find food. In the underground rivers of Mexico, blind catfish navigate and hunt using a sense of taste that extends far beyond their mouths. Their entire bodies are covered in taste receptors, thousands of tiny and sensitive chemical sensors that respond to dissolved substances in the water around them. As they swim, they essentially taste the world, detecting the faint chemical trails left by prey, the presence of decaying organic matter, and even the subtle movements of other fish nearby. Their skin has become a tongue that covers them from head to tail. This whole-body tasting allows them to locate food with remarkable precision, zeroing in on a meal from considerable distances, even in water with no light at all. Where eyes would be useless, taste has become sight. For these wonderful catfish, the water itself whispers every secret they need to survive. And from the underground waters, we rise now to the surface night, where creatures have chosen darkness not by isolation, but by instinct. Owls have asymmetrical ears that allow them to pinpoint sounds in 3 dimensions. Owls are masters of the night, and their extraordinary hearing is one of their most powerful tools. In many species, the ear openings are positioned asymmetrically on the skull, with one ear higher than the other. This seemingly small difference allows the owl to detect not just the direction of a sound, but its precise height as well. When a mouse rustles through grass in the darkness below, sound reaches each ear at a slightly different time and intensity. The owl's brain processes these tiny differences to create a 3-dimensional map of the sound, pinpointing the prey's exact location without ever seeing it. Some owls can hunt in complete darkness, striking accurately based on sound alone. Their faces are shaped like satellite dishes to funnel sound toward their ears. In the silence of the night, they hear the world with impossible precision. The tarsier has eyes so large each, one weighs more than its brain. In the forests of Southeast Asia, a tiny and curious primate called the tarsier emerges at night with eyes that seem impossibly large for its small body. Each eye is approximately 16 millimeters in diameter and weighs more than the tarsier's brain, taking up most of the available space in its skull. These enormous eyes cannot rotate in their sockets at all, so the tarsier must turn its entire head to look around, which it can do almost 180 degrees in either direction. The purpose of such massive eyes is to gather as much light as possible in the dim forest understory where the tarsier hunts at night. Every photon that enters those huge pupils helps the tarsier see the insects and small prey it feeds upon. It is a creature built almost entirely around vision, sacrificing nearly everything else just to see in the dark. Its eyes are windows into an ancient night. Moths navigate by the moon and can fly in a straight line even on the darkest nights. Long before humans learned to navigate by the stars, moths were already using the moon as their compass. By keeping the moon at a constant angle to their flight path, moths can travel in remarkably straight lines across vast distances through the night. This technique, called transverse orientation, works because the moon is so far away that its position in the sky appears fixed during flight. The problem arises when moths encounter artificial lights, which they mistake for the moon. Unable to keep a nearby light at a constant angle, they spiral inward in their famous dance around flames and bulbs. In natural darkness, however, moths are expert navigators, crossing miles of terrain guided only by faint celestial light. They carry within them an ancient map written in moonlight, an inheritance from ancestors who flew through nights that knew no human glow. Bats can hear the footsteps of insects walking on leaves. The hearing of bats is so extraordinarily sensitive that some species can detect the soft footsteps of an insect walking carefully across a leaf in the darkness below. These tiny sounds, imperceptible to human ears, are amplified and analyzed by the bat's highly specialized auditory system. Some bats have evolved to hunt not by echolocation, but by listening passively for the sounds their prey makes in the night. The rustling of a beetle's legs, the flutter of moth wings, even the faint vibration of a spider moving on its web can betray a meal to a listening bat. Their ears can swivel independently, scanning for sounds in different directions simultaneously. In complete darkness, every sound becomes information, and the bat's brain constructs a detailed picture of its environment from these fragments of noise. For these skilled hunters, silence is prey and sound is the map to their next meal. The eye taps on wood with its long finger and listens for hollow spaces where grubs hide. In the forests of Madagascar, a strange and remarkable nocturnal primate called the eye has evolved a hunting technique unlike any other mammal. Its middle finger is extraordinarily long and thin, almost skeletal in appearance, and it uses this unique finger to tap rapidly on tree bark while listening carefully for hollow spaces beneath. When it hears the telltale echo of a grub tunnel, it gnaws through the wood with its rodent-like teeth and reaches in with that long finger to hook out the larvae inside. This technique is similar to woodpecker behavior, but the eye achieves it with finger and ear rather than beak and tongue. Its large ears can detect the faintest differences in sound, mapping invisible tunnels by their echoes alone. In the dark forests where it hunts at night, the eye has become a true master of acoustic imaging. Some species of gecko can see color in conditions too dark for human eyes to function at all. While human color vision shuts down in dim light, leaving us to see in shades of gray, some geckos can perceive colors in conditions so dark that we would be effectively blind. Their eyes contain wonderfully specialized cells that are far more sensitive than ours, able to absorb enough photons to distinguish between colors even on the darkest moonless nights. This ability allows them to find food and identify mates when most other animals see only shadow. Scientists believe that the gecko's color vision evolved because distinguishing between toxic and edible prey at night provides a significant survival advantage. In the dim world where geckos hunt, being able to see the true colors of an insect could mean the difference between a meal and a mistake. While we lose our color world at dusk, geckos continue to see the rainbow in all its beauty. And on the surface of our world, where night falls and rises again, creatures have learned that darkness is not a limitation, but an opportunity. Fireflies create light through a chemical reaction so efficient it produces almost no heat. On warm summer nights, fireflies transform meadows into galaxies with their pulsing lights. This bioluminescence is produced through a chemical reaction between a substance called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase, combined with oxygen. What makes firefly light remarkable is its extraordinary efficiency. Nearly 100% of the energy produced by the reaction becomes light, with almost nothing wasted as heat. By comparison, an incandescent light bulb converts only about 10% of its energy into light, losing the rest as warmth. If firefly light produced heat at that rate, the insects would burn themselves. This cold light has fascinated scientists for centuries, and the genes responsible have been used in medical research to track cells and proteins in living organisms. In the darkness, fireflies carry lanterns that even our technology struggles to match. The oilbird is the only nocturnal fruit-eating bird and navigates caves using echolocation. In the caves of South America, the oilbird leads a life unlike any other bird on Earth. It is the only fruit-eating bird that is fully nocturnal, spending its days roosting deep inside lightless caves and emerging only at night to feed on the oily fruits of palm trees and laurels. To navigate the absolute darkness of its cave dwellings, the oilbird produces a series of clicking sounds and listens for the returning echoes, much like a bat. This biological sonar allows it to fly safely through winding passages where no light penetrates. The name oilbird comes from the fat stored in its chicks, which was once harvested and used for fuel. Its calls echo through underground chambers in a chorus that can be heard from considerable distances. In the boundary between cave and sky, this remarkable bird has found its own peaceful way through the dark. Kiwi birds hunt earthworms at night using nostrils at the tips of their beaks. New Zealand's beloved national bird, the kiwi, is a fascinating creature of the night with a sense of smell unlike any other bird in the world. While most birds have nostrils at the base of their beaks, the kiwi's nostrils are positioned at the very tip, allowing it to sniff out prey hidden beneath the soil. As it walks through the forest at night, probing the ground with its long beak, it can smell earthworms and insects buried several centimeters deep. Its whisker-like feathers around the face help it sense vibrations in the darkness. The kiwi has tiny eyes relative to its body size, but hardly needs them in the dense forests where it feeds. Its wings are so small as to be almost invisible beneath its hair-like feathers. In the darkness of the forest floor, this flightless bird has traded the sky for the soil and found abundance beneath its feet. The slow loris is one of the only venomous primates and hunts in near-total darkness. Moving through the Southeast Asian forests with deliberate, silent grace, the slow loris is one of nature's most unexpected predators. It is among the very few venomous mammals, possessing a toxic bite created by mixing secretions from a gland in its arm with its saliva. This venom can cause serious reactions in predators and competitors and helps protect it as it moves slowly through the canopy at night. Its enormous eyes are adapted to gather light in the darkest conditions, and its strong grip allows it to hang motionless for remarkably long periods while stalking insects and small prey. The slow loris has no need for speed when patience serves it better. Its movements are so gradual they often escape notice entirely. In the warm darkness of tropical nights, this small primate hunts in a world where stealth matters more than speed. Nightjars have mouths so wide they can catch moths in flight like aerial nets. When dusk falls across meadows and forest edges, nightjars emerge from their daytime hiding places to hunt on the wing. Their mouths can open extraordinarily wide, far wider than would seem possible for a bird of their size, creating a kind of aerial net for capturing insects in flight. The edges of their mouths are lined with stiff bristles that help funnel prey inward and prevent escape. With their mottled brown feathers, nightjars are nearly invisible when resting on the ground or on branches during the day, their camouflage so perfect that observers can step within centimeters without noticing them. At night, they fly with silent wing beats, scooping moths and beetles from the air with remarkable efficiency. Their wide eyes gather the faint light of dusk and dawn. In the soft shadows between day and night, these birds have found their hunting hour. The kakapo is a nocturnal parrot, so well hidden it was believed extinct for decades. In the remote forests of New Zealand, a large, flightless parrot called the kakapo leads a mostly hidden and nocturnal existence. For many years, scientists believed the species had disappeared forever, unable to find any living individuals despite repeated searches. It was only in the 1970s that small populations were rediscovered on remote islands where they had been hiding all along. The kakapo is the heaviest parrot in the world and freezes when threatened rather than fleeing, a strategy that worked well before humans introduced predators like cats and stoats. It emerges at night to feed on plants, fruits, and seeds, moving through the forest with a distinctive waddling gait. Conservation efforts have slowly brought it back from the edge of extinction. In the darkness of its island home, this remarkable bird continues its quiet survival. And among these night wanderers, some have senses so refined they perceive worlds we cannot imagine. Pit vipers can see infrared radiation as clearly as humans see visible light. The pit organs on either side of a pit viper's face are biological infrared detectors of astonishing sensitivity. These small cavities contain membranes so thin they can detect temperature differences of just a fraction of a degree, allowing the snake to perceive the heat radiated by warm-blooded prey even in complete darkness. The snake's brain combines this infrared information with visual data to create a thermal image of its surroundings, much like a living thermal camera. A mouse hiding perfectly still in total darkness is still radiating enough warmth to be clearly visible to a hunting viper. The snake can strike with deadly accuracy even when no light is present at all. This ability evolved millions of years ago and has made pit vipers some of the most successful predators in their environments. In their perception, warmth becomes visible light and prey cannot hide. The platypus hunts in dark rivers using electroreceptors in its bill. In the murky rivers of eastern Australia, the platypus swims with its eyes closed, relying entirely on the extraordinary sensors embedded in its bill. These electroreceptors can detect the tiny electrical fields generated by the muscle contractions of its prey, such as shrimp, larvae, and small crustaceans hiding in the muddy riverbed. When a creature moves or even simply breathes, it creates minute electrical signals that the platypus can sense with remarkable precision and accuracy. This allows the platypus to hunt effectively in water so dark or clouded that vision would be completely useless. Its bill sweeps from side to side as it swims, scanning for these faint electrical signatures like a living metal detector. The platypus closes its ears and nostrils underwater as well, relying solely on electroreception. In the silent darkness of the riverbed, electricity becomes its guiding light. Many sharks can detect the electrical impulses of a heartbeat buried under sand. Sharks possess one of the most sensitive electrical detection systems in the animal kingdom. Their snouts are covered with small pores called ampullae of Lorenzini, each containing cells that can sense electrical fields as weak as 5 billionths of a volt. This extraordinary sensitivity allows sharks to detect the electrical impulses generated by the muscles and nerves of hidden prey, even when that prey is buried beneath sand or hiding in crevices. A fish holding perfectly still and trying to remain invisible is still betrayed by the electrical activity of its beating heart and breathing gills. In the dark waters where many sharks hunt, this electrical sense is often more useful than sight and smell combined. The shark glides through darkness with a kind of electrical awareness we can barely imagine. For them, life itself radiates signals that cannot be hidden. The greater horseshoe bat can distinguish between insects just millimeters different in size by sound alone. The echolocation of the greater horseshoe bat is so refined that it can determine the size of insects with remarkable precision, distinguishing between prey items that differ by only a few millimeters. By analyzing the subtle variations in returning echoes, the bat builds a detailed acoustic picture of its surroundings that includes not just the location of objects, but their shape, texture, and movement as well. This allows it to be highly selective in its hunting, choosing the most nutritious prey from a cloud of flying insects. The horseshoe-shaped nose leaf that gives this bat its name helps focus and direct its ultrasonic calls for maximum precision. Each call returns with information that the bat's brain processes in fractions of a second. In complete darkness, it perceives the world with a clarity that rivals and perhaps exceeds what eyes could provide in light. Dolphins sleeping with one eye open keep half their brain alert for predators in dark waters. Dolphins have evolved a remarkable adaptation called unihemispheric sleep, in which one half of the brain rests while the other remains awake and alert. During this partial sleep, One eye stays open, watching for predators and obstacles, while the other closes as the corresponding half of the brain enters rest. The dolphin continues to swim slowly, rising periodically to breathe. After some time, the halves switch, allowing the previously active side to rest while the other takes over. This means dolphins never fully lose consciousness the way terrestrial mammals do during sleep. In the dark, open ocean, where danger can approach from any direction at any time, this ability to remain half-aware provides essential protection. The dolphin drifts through dark waters in a state between waking and dreaming, always partly aware, never fully vulnerable. And as these creatures have adapted to the dark, they have developed not just new senses, but entirely new ways of being. Many cave animals have slower heartbeats and longer lifespans than their surface relatives. Life in the eternal darkness of caves operates at a different tempo than the surface world. Many cave-dwelling animals have evolved remarkably slow metabolisms, with heartbeats sometimes only a fraction of those seen in their surface relatives. This slowed pace of life appears to be an adaptation to environments where food is scarce and unpredictable. By burning through resources slowly, cave animals can survive long periods without eating. As a consequence of this unhurried existence, many cave creatures live far longer than similar animals above ground. Some cave salamanders have been documented living for decades in conditions that seem impossibly austere. Where surface animals burn brightly and briefly, cave dwellers flicker on for years and years. In the timeless dark, they have discovered that the secret to longevity is patience, that living slowly can mean living long. The Mexican tetra has surface and cave forms that are genetically almost identical, but look completely different. The Mexican tetra offers one of the most vivid demonstrations of how darkness reshapes life. This single species exists in two dramatically different forms: a surface form with normal eyes and silvery scales, and a cave form that is completely blind with pale, almost translucent skin. Remarkably, these two forms can still interbreed, producing offspring that show a mixture of features. Scientists studying the cave tetra have discovered that it lost its eyes and pigmentation through the accumulation of mutations over thousands of generations in lightless pools. These traits, once essential for survival, became a metabolic burden in environments where they served no purpose. The cave tetra teaches us that evolution is not always about gaining new features, but sometimes about letting go of what is no longer needed. In the dark, simplicity became wisdom. Some cave populations of fish have lost their ability to sleep entirely. Sleep seems like a universal need among animals, a time for the body and brain to rest and restore themselves. Yet some populations of cave fish appear to have lost the need for sleep almost entirely. Studies of blind cave tetras in Mexico have shown that they sleep far less than their surface-dwelling relatives, sometimes not at all. Scientists believe this sleeplessness may be an adaptation to cave life, where constant activity increases the chances of finding rare food particles drifting through the water. Without day and night cycles, there is no obvious signal to rest, and perhaps no disadvantage to remaining always alert. The genes controlling sleep have been modified over countless generations in darkness. These fish remind us that even something as fundamental as sleep can be negotiated away when the conditions are right, and waking brings more benefits than dreaming. Deep-sea creatures often have bones made of cartilage because calcium is scarce in the abyss. In the deep ocean, far from sunlight and the calcium-rich waters of the surface, building strong bones becomes a challenge. Many deep-sea fish have evolved skeletons made primarily of cartilage rather than hard bone, a softer and more flexible material that requires fewer minerals to construct. This cartilaginous structure also helps them survive the crushing pressure found at great depths, as flexible bodies can withstand forces that would snap rigid skeletons. Some deep-sea fish have bones so reduced and gelatinous that they would collapse if brought to the surface. Their bodies are perfectly suited to the darkness and pressure of the abyss, but would struggle to function anywhere else. They have traded solidity for flexibility, strength for survival in an environment that demands compromise. In the deep, even bones must learn to bend. The hagfish can absorb nutrients directly through its skin when food is scarce. The hagfish is one of the most ancient and unusual animals in the ocean, having remained essentially unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. When a hagfish finds a carcass on the dark ocean floor, it burrows inside and feeds from within, but remarkably, it can also absorb nutrients directly through its skin while feeding. This adaptation allows it to maximize every opportunity for nourishment in an environment where meals are rare and unpredictable. The hagfish's skin is so permeable that it can take in amino acids and other nutrients dissolved in the water around it. This dual feeding strategy helps explain how hagfish have survived so many mass extinctions. They have become so efficient at finding and consuming food that almost nothing they contact goes to waste. In the deep darkness, the hagfish has learned that every surface of its body can become a mouth. And here, in this gentle pause, let yourself drift a little deeper. Feel the bed or surface beneath you, solid and safe. These creatures have found peace in the darkest places on Earth, and perhaps, in this moment, so can you. Giant tube worms near hydrothermal vents have no mouths or digestive systems, but thrive on bacteria living inside them. At the bottom of the ocean, where volcanic vents pour superheated water into the freezing dark, giant tube worms reach toward the chimneys like strange white flowers. These creatures have no mouths, no stomachs, and no intestines at all. Instead, they rely entirely on bacteria living inside their bodies to produce food through a process called chemosynthesis. The bacteria convert chemicals from the vent water into energy, and the worm provides them with a safe home in return. This partnership allows the tube worms to grow up to 2 meters long in complete darkness, thriving in environments that would seem hostile to most life. They are among the fastest-growing invertebrates known, sometimes adding tens of centimeters per year. In the lightless depths, where the sun has never reached, life has found another way to flourish. The Yeti crab farms bacteria on its hairy claws near volcanic vents in total darkness. Discovered in 2005 on the Pacific Ocean floor, the remarkable Yeti crab is covered in long, silky bristles that give it an almost supernatural appearance. These pale bristles are not just for show, but serve as gardens where the crab cultivates bacteria for food. By waving its hairy claws through the chemical-rich waters near hydrothermal vents, the Yeti crab encourages bacteria to grow on its bristles, then scrapes them off to eat. This farming behavior allows it to survive in one of the most extreme environments on Earth, in total darkness near scalding water that emerges from the planet's crust. The Yeti crab must carefully position itself in the narrow zone between water hot enough to burn and cold water where the bacteria will not grow. In the volcanic darkness of the seafloor, it has become a farmer of the strangest kind. Pompeii worms survive temperatures that would cook most animals, living on the edges of deep-sea vents. The Pompeii worm holds the record for the most heat-tolerant complex animal known to science today. Living on the walls of hydrothermal vent chimneys, it endures temperatures that can exceed 80 degrees Celsius, hot enough to cause serious burns to human skin within seconds. Its tail may be exposed to near boiling water, while its head remains in cooler fluid just centimeters away. How it survives such extreme conditions remains a mystery, though a protective layer of bacteria on its back may help insulate it from the heat. The Pompeii worm was named for the ancient Roman city buried by a volcanic eruption, and like the people of Pompeii, it lives in the shadow of geological forces beyond its control. In the violent darkness of the vents, this small worm thrives where few other complex organisms could survive for even a moment. And at these volcanic oases in the abyss, entire ecosystems flourish without a single ray of sunlight. Whale falls create islands of life in the deep sea that can sustain communities for decades. When a great whale dies and its massive body sinks slowly to the ocean floor, it creates what scientists call a whale fall, a true oasis of nutrients in the otherwise sparse and empty deep sea. A single whale carcass can weigh tens of thousands of kilograms, providing an enormous and remarkable feast for creatures that may go months or years between meals. First come the scavengers, hagfish and sleeper sharks, and giant isopods, tearing away flesh over months. Then come smaller organisms that feed on the remaining scraps and the bacteria beginning to break down the bones. A whale fall can support a thriving community for 50 years or more, its nutrients slowly releasing into the surrounding sediment. In the vast emptiness of the deep ocean, these fallen giants become entire worlds, islands of abundance in a desert of darkness. Bone-eating worms dissolve the skeletons of dead whales using acid secreted from their skin. After the flesh of a whale fall has been consumed, the bones remain, and here a strange group of worms called ostacs takes over. These bone-eating worms have no mouths, no stomachs, and no means of chewing, yet they consume whale bones with remarkable efficiency. They secrete acid from their skin that dissolves the hard bone tissue, then absorb the nutrients released through root-like structures that penetrate deep into the skeleton. Inside these roots live bacteria that help convert the bone material into energy. Female ostax worms can grow several centimeters long, while males remain microscopic, living inside the females by the hundreds. Their name means bone devourer in Latin, and they have been found on whale bones millions of years old. In the quiet darkness of the deep, even the hard bones of giants are slowly returned to the living sea. The deep ocean floor is scattered with xenophyophores, giant single-celled organisms visible to the naked eye. In the sediments of the deepest ocean trenches live xenophyophores, organisms that challenge our understanding of what a single cell can achieve. Despite being composed of just one cell, some can grow to over 10 centimeters across, large enough to see without any magnification. They build intricate shells from sediment and the remains of other organisms, creating structures that look like foraminifera, but on a massive scale. Scientists have found them in some of the most extreme environments on Earth, including the Mariana Trench at depths exceeding 10,000 meters. They may play important roles in the deep-sea ecosystem, providing shelter for small animals and affecting sediment chemistry. In the pressure and darkness of the abyss, these giant single cells have found ways to thrive where complexity seems unnecessary. Sea cucumbers on the abyssal plain can make up 90% of all life on the ocean floor. On the vast, featureless plains of the abyssal ocean floor, sea cucumbers dominate the landscape in numbers almost beyond counting. In some areas, they make up 90% of all the visible animal life, slowly crawling across the sediment and processing it for organic particles. These unassuming animals are the vacuum cleaners of the deep, essential for recycling nutrients and keeping the ocean floor from becoming choked with fallen organic matter. Some species have evolved remarkable traits for their environment, including the ability to liquefy their bodies to squeeze through small gaps or expel their internal organs to distract predators. Despite their humble appearance, sea cucumbers have thrived on Earth for hundreds of millions of years and continue to flourish in the darkness. In the silent depths where few creatures wander, they have become the quiet rulers of the sediment. Snailfish have been found at depths of over 8,000 meters, the deepest fish ever recorded. The snailfish family holds the record for the deepest living fish ever documented, with some species found at depths exceeding 8,000 meters in the Hadal zone of ocean trenches. At these depths, the pressure is crushing, over 800 times greater than at the surface, yet these small fish seem to thrive in conditions that would destroy most other vertebrates. Their bodies have evolved to cope with this pressure through various adaptations, including flexible skeletons and special proteins that prevent their cells from being crushed. Scientists have observed them swimming and feeding actively in environments once thought too extreme for fish to survive. The discovery of snailfish at such depths has reshaped our understanding of where life can exist in the oceans. In the deepest darkness of our planet, these small fish have found a home where few would expect. The Mariana Hadal snailfish has no scales and appears pink because its muscles show through translucent skin. In the Mariana Trench, the deepest place in all the world's oceans, lives a small fish with an almost ghostly appearance. The Mariana Hadal snailfish has completely transparent skin and no scales at all, allowing its pink muscles to show through and giving it an almost ethereal glow. This lack of protective armor might seem like a disadvantage, but at depths where predators are few and competition is limited, the energy cost of growing scales becomes an unnecessary burden. Its body is soft and gelatinous, adapted to withstand pressures that would crush a submarine. With small eyes adapted to the faint bioluminescence of the abyss and a metabolism tuned to survive on scarce food, this fish represents one of the most extreme adaptations to darkness in the animal kingdom. In the deepest darkness on Earth, it has become a creature of pure and simple survival. And in these crushing depths, where pressure would destroy human bodies in an instant, life has found ways to be soft and resilient. Deep-sea amphipods have been found feeding on wood that sank from ancient forests. In the sediments of the deep ocean, scientists have discovered amphipods feeding on pieces of wood that may have fallen from forests thousands of years ago. Wood takes an extraordinarily long time to decompose in the cold, low-oxygen waters of the abyss, providing a slow-release food source for creatures adapted to exploit it. These deep-sea amphipods have evolved the ability to digest cellulose, a remarkable trait that allows them to extract nutrients from plant material that most animals cannot process at all. Some of the wood fragments found at great depths have been dated to ages that suggest they fell during ancient storms or forest fires long before recorded history. In this way, the deep ocean becomes a kind of time capsule, preserving the remains of surface ecosystems in its eternal darkness. These amphipods feast on echoes of forests that vanished long ago. The giant isopod can grow to the size of a football and go years without eating. The giant isopod is one of the most striking creatures of the deep ocean, a massive relative of the common woodlouse that can grow up to 40 centimeters long. In the darkness of the deep sea where food is scarce and deeply unpredictable, these remarkable creatures have evolved an astonishing ability to survive without eating for extended periods. One giant isopod in captivity famously went over 5 years without accepting any food at all before finally dying. When they do find food, they gorge themselves until their bodies are visibly swollen, storing enough energy to last through the lean times that inevitably follow. Their large compound eyes are adapted to the faint light of the deep, and their armored bodies protect them from predators. In the patient darkness of the abyss, the giant isopod has learned that waiting is a survival strategy. Sponges in the deep sea can live for thousands of years, among the oldest animals on Earth. In the cold, stable waters of the deep ocean, some sponges have achieved lifespans that stretch into millennia. By analyzing the chemical signatures in their skeletons, scientists have estimated that certain deep-sea sponges may be over 11,000 years old, making them among the oldest known animals on Earth. These ancient creatures have been alive since before the end of the last ice age, quietly filtering particles from the water while human civilizations rose and fell above them. Their longevity is made possible by the stable temperatures and unchanging conditions of the deep, where little happens to disrupt their slow and steady existence. Some carry within their bodies a record of ocean conditions spanning thousands of years. In the timeless darkness of the abyss, these sponges have become living archives of Earth's history. Glass sponges create skeletons of silica fibers stronger than human-made optical cables. Glass sponges are among the most elegant engineers of the deep ocean, building intricate skeletons from spicules of pure silica that rival the finest human technology. The fibers that make up their bodies are not only beautiful, but remarkably strong and flexible, with optical properties that have inspired research into better communications cables. Some glass sponge fibers can transmit light more efficiently than the optical fibers we manufacture for internet cables. This natural engineering evolved over hundreds of millions of years, perfected in the darkness of the deep sea, where these sponges filter nutrients from the passing water. Their lattice skeletons are so perfectly constructed that they can house entire communities of small animals within their structure. In the lightless depths where they grow, glass sponges have built cathedrals of light-conducting glass that shame our engineering. The Greenland shark grows less than 1 centimeter per year and can live for over 400 years. In the frigid, dark waters of the North Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, the Greenland shark moves through life at a pace that defies our understanding of time. Growing only about 1 centimeter per year, these sharks take decades to reach maturity and can live for over 4 centuries. Using radiocarbon dating of proteins in the lenses of their eyes, scientists have estimated that some individuals alive today were born before Shakespeare wrote his plays. The oldest Greenland shark ever studied may have been nearly 500 years old and had been swimming through dark Arctic waters since the Renaissance. Their slow metabolism and the cold water they inhabit appear to be keys to their extraordinary longevity. In the frozen darkness at the top of the world, these ancient sharks carry within them lifetimes of memory that span human history. Deep-sea corals can form reefs in total darkness, fed by nutrients drifting down from above. Unlike their tropical relatives that depend on sunlight and symbiotic algae, deep-sea corals build their reefs in complete darkness, surviving on particles of food that drift down from the waters above. These cold-water coral ecosystems can be found at depths of over 1,000 meters, where no ray of sunlight has ever penetrated. They grow incredibly slowly, sometimes just a millimeter per year, and individual colonies can be thousands of years old. Despite their slow growth, they create complex habitats that support diverse communities of fish, crustaceans, and other invertebrates. Deep-sea coral reefs are now known to be as biodiverse as many tropical reefs, though far less studied and understood. In the cold darkness of the deep ocean, these corals have built cities of calcium carbonate that rival anything found in sunlit waters. And across millennia of evolution, these creatures have transformed darkness from a challenge into a home. The eyes of cave fish disappear not through disuse alone, but through active genetic changes. For a long time, scientists believed that cave fish lost their eyes simply because they stopped using them, with each generation's unused eyes becoming smaller through a kind of evolutionary neglect. But recent research has revealed a far more complex and interesting story. The loss of eyes in cave fish is not passive but active, driven by specific genetic changes that actually suppress eye development during the embryonic stage. Some of these changes appear to provide benefits beyond simply saving energy, such as enhancing other sensory systems or altering metabolism. The eye begins to form in cave fish embryos, but is then actively broken down and reabsorbed. This means the fish are not simply failing to develop eyes, but are choosing, through evolution, to destroy them. In darkness, even sight itself can become a burden worth shedding. Some populations of fish have independently evolved blindness in separate caves across continents. One of the most remarkable patterns in cave evolution is the way blindness has appeared independently in fish populations across the world. In Mexico, Europe, Africa, and Australia, surface fish that colonized caves have separately evolved the same loss of eyes and pigmentation, often through similar genetic pathways. This phenomenon, called convergent evolution, demonstrates that the pressure of permanent darkness pushes life towards similar solutions regardless of geography or ancestry. Scientists studying these independent lineages have found that even the specific genes involved are sometimes the same, suggesting a limited number of ways to adapt to lightless environments. It is as though darkness writes the same story over and over, in caves separated by oceans and continents. Evolution, it seems, has favored answers to certain questions. Loss of vision in cave animals often coincides with enhanced brain regions for other senses. When cave animals lose their eyes over generations of lightless existence, the parts of the brain that would have processed visual information do not simply disappear. Instead, they are often repurposed to enhance other senses, such as touch, smell, or the detection of water currents and subtle vibrations. Brain imaging studies of blind cave fish have shown that regions once devoted to vision have been remarkably reorganized to process information from the lateral line system, which detects movement and vibration in the surrounding water. This neural recycling allows cave animals to make the most of their limited neural resources, turning what might seem like a loss into a genuine gain. The brain, it turns out, is remarkably flexible, reallocating real estate to whatever senses prove most useful for survival. In the deep darkness, the mind learns to see in new and truly unexpected ways. The same genes that control human circadian rhythms are switched off in many cave-dwelling species. The internal clocks that govern our sleep and waking cycles are controlled by a set of highly conserved genes found across the animal kingdom. In humans, these ancient genes respond to light and darkness, telling our bodies when to feel tired and when to feel alert. But in many cave-dwelling animals, these genes have been switched off or significantly modified over countless generations in lightless environments. Without the external cue of daylight, there is no need to maintain a 24-hour rhythm, and the energy spent running this internal clock can be redirected elsewhere. Studying how cave animals have lost their circadian rhythms is helping scientists understand sleep disorders and jet lag in humans. In this way, creatures that have never seen dawn are teaching us about our own relationship with light and time. Evolution in darkness can happen remarkably fast, with visible changes in just a few thousand years. While evolution is often thought of as a process requiring millions of years, adaptation to darkness can occur surprisingly quickly. Some cave fish populations show measurable differences in eye size and pigmentation after only a few thousand years of isolation from their surface ancestors. In laboratory experiments, scientists have observed the early stages of these changes developing over just a few generations when fish are raised in complete darkness. The strong selective pressure of a lightless environment, where eyes and pigment become unnecessary burdens, appears to accelerate the evolutionary process dramatically. These fast adaptations suggest that life is remarkably responsive to environmental change when the pressure is strong enough. In the urgency of new darkness, evolution finds ways to work within centuries rather than eons. When cave animals are exposed to light after generations of darkness, they often show no fear of it. Animals that have lived in permanent darkness for countless generations have lost not only the ability to see light, but also any instinctive response to avoid it. When blind cave fish are exposed to bright light in laboratory conditions, they show no attempt to hide or escape, swimming through illuminated water as comfortably as through complete darkness. This lack of reaction is striking because many surface fish will actively seek shadow when exposed to bright light, a behavior that helps them avoid predators and overheating. For cave animals, this fear response has simply never developed or has been lost through disuse over many generations of lightless existence. Light, for these creatures, is neither a threat nor a guide, just a sensation entirely without meaning. They have forgotten completely what their ancestors once knew about the world above. And in the hidden laboratories of caves and ocean depths, scientists are discovering secrets that could change how we understand life itself. Proteins from deep-sea creatures are being studied for medicines that work under extreme conditions. The proteins found in deep-sea creatures have evolved to function under pressures and temperatures that would destroy most biological molecules. Scientists are studying these remarkably stable proteins for potential applications in medicine and industry, where robustness under harsh conditions is highly valued. Enzymes from deep-sea bacteria, for example, can remain active at temperatures and pressures that would denature ordinary enzymes, making them useful for various industrial processes. Some of these proteins are being explored for new drug delivery systems that could survive the harsh environment of the human digestive system. The challenges that deep-sea creatures have overcome through evolution are now inspiring solutions to human problems. In the darkness of the abyss, life has developed a toolkit that we are only beginning to understand and appreciate. Cave bacteria produce compounds that may lead to new antibiotics. In the isolated environments of caves, bacteria have evolved for millions of years without contact with the surface world, developing unique chemical compounds that do not exist anywhere else on Earth. Some of these compounds have shown powerful antibiotic properties, capable of killing bacteria that have become resistant to conventional drugs. With antibiotic resistance becoming an increasing concern for human health, the search for new antibiotics in caves has become an active area of research worldwide. Because cave bacteria have evolved in isolation, they may produce molecules that pathogenic bacteria have never encountered and therefore have no defenses against. The darkness that kept these microbes hidden for so long may now offer unexpected gifts to medicine. In the lightless depths of ancient caves, the cures of tomorrow may already be waiting quietly. The study of blind cave fish has revealed insights into human conditions like insomnia and albinism. Blind cave fish have become valuable research subjects for understanding human genetics and health. Their loss of pigmentation is caused by mutations in the same genes that cause albinism in humans, making them useful models for studying this condition. Similarly, their altered sleep patterns and loss of circadian rhythms have provided insights into insomnia and other sleep disorders that affect millions of people. Because cave fish can still breed with their surface relatives, scientists can study how these traits are inherited and potentially develop treatments for related human conditions. The same adaptations that allowed these fish to thrive in darkness are now illuminating aspects of human biology that were previously difficult to study. From the depths of Mexican caves, these small fish are teaching us about ourselves. Bioluminescence from deep-sea animals is now used in medical imaging and cancer research. The chemical light produced by deep-sea creatures has found remarkable applications in modern medicine. The genes responsible for bioluminescence have been isolated and can now be inserted into other cells, allowing researchers to track biological processes in living organisms. Cancer researchers use bioluminescent markers to watch tumors grow and respond to treatment in real time without invasive surgery. The green fluorescent protein from jellyfish has revolutionized cell biology, earning its discoverers a Nobel Prize. What evolved as a survival tool in the dark ocean has become one of the most valuable instruments in biomedical research. The light that creatures created to survive in darkness is now helping humans understand and fight disease. From the depths of the sea, ancient lanterns illuminate the frontiers of medicine. And as these final facts settle gently around you, feel your breath slow to match the rhythm of creatures that have never known hurry. There is no need to remember anything, no need to hold on. Just let these quiet truths drift through you like bioluminescent sparks in an endless ocean. The deep ocean holds more species yet to be discovered than any other habitat on Earth. Despite covering more than 70% of our planet's surface, the deep ocean remains largely unexplored. Scientists estimate that we have documented only a small fraction of the species that live in the abyssal and hadal zones, with millions of creatures still waiting to be discovered and described. Every expedition to the deep brings back specimens of animals never seen before, filling research vessels with mysterious and wonderful creatures that challenge our understanding of biology. The technology required to explore these depths is expensive and complex, limiting how much we can learn. Some researchers believe the deep ocean contains more undiscovered species than all other habitats on Earth combined. In a very real sense, we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the depths of our own oceans. The darkness beneath the waves still holds secrets beyond counting. Every time scientists explore a new cave system, they find species that exist nowhere else. Caves are islands of isolation, environments so cut off from the surface world that the creatures living within them evolve independently and often produce species found nowhere else on Earth. When researchers descend into a previously unexplored cave system, they nearly always discover animals new to science, from blind beetles to colorless crustaceans to spiders that have developed entirely new hunting strategies. These endemic species can be incredibly vulnerable, as their entire population may exist within a single cave chamber or pool. The loss of just one cave system to pollution, development, or climate change can mean the extinction of species that had thrived there for hundreds of thousands of years. Each dark cavern is a unique arc of evolution. With countless caves still unexplored, the world beneath our feet holds endless wonders waiting quietly in the darkness. Some creatures of the dark may hold the answers to questions we have not yet thought to ask. Throughout history, scientific discoveries have come from unexpected places, and the creatures of darkness may hold solutions to problems we cannot yet imagine. The antibiotic properties of cave bacteria, the optical qualities of glass sponge fibers, and the genetic secrets of circadian rhythm loss were all discovered by studying animals that most people never knew existed. What mysteries might be solved by the proteins of deep-sea fish or the adaptations of blind amphibians, we simply cannot know until we look. The very extremity of their environments has forced these creatures to develop solutions that evolution in gentler conditions never required. By preserving these dark habitats and the creatures within them, we protect a library of biological innovation that future generations may desperately need. In the unexplored darkness, answers wait for questions we have not yet learned to ask. And in the end, these animals remind us that light is not required for wonder, and darkness is not the absence of life, but a different kind of home. Darkness covers more of our planet than light ever reaches. We often think of our world as a place of light, but the truth is that most of Earth's habitable space exists in permanent darkness, wading in profound and ancient silence. The deep ocean, the rich soil beneath our feet, the caves winding through mountains, and the sediments of lake bottoms all lie beyond the reach of sunlight and together comprise far more living space than the sunlit surfaces we know and love best. Even our atmosphere darkens for half of every day as the planet turns away from the sun. The countless and remarkable creatures that live in these lightless zones vastly outnumber those that depend on solar energy. Darkness is not an exception on our planet, but rather the rule, and the sunlit world we inhabit is merely a thin skin wrapped around a sphere of shadow. We are only visitors in a universe that mostly prefers the dark and quiet places. For billions of years before eyes evolved, all life on Earth existed in a world without sight. The first life on Earth appeared roughly 4 billion years ago, but eyes did not evolve until just over 500 million years before the present day. For the vast majority of life's history, no creature on this planet could see. All those early organisms lived in a world perceived only through touch, chemistry, and vibration, and many of their descendants continue to thrive in that ancient mode of existence. The evolution of eyes changed everything, triggering an explosion of new body forms and behaviors, but it did not make blindness obsolete. In caves and deep waters, creatures have simply returned to the original condition, thriving without vision as their ancestors did for eons untold. To live in darkness is, in a sense, to live as all life once lived. These blind creatures are not diminished, but simply ancient in a particular and beautiful way. Many of the oldest forms of life still prefer the dark places where their ancestors first thrived. If you look deep into caves or the ancient sediments of the ocean floor, you will find remarkable organisms that have changed very little over hundreds of millions of years. These living fossils continue to thrive in the same dark environments where their ancestors first evolved, long before complex life emerged into the light. The stability of dark environments, with their constant temperatures and lack of seasonal changes, has allowed some lineages to persist essentially unchanged across vast stretches of geological time. The coelacanth, once thought extinct, still swims in the deep ocean much as it did when dinosaurs walked the earth. In these wonderful lightless refuges, evolution moves slowly, and ancient forms can persist indefinitely. These creatures are time travelers of a kind, carrying the past forward into our present. The night sky reminds us that even the universe is mostly darkness, studded with distant points of light. When you look up at the night sky, you are seeing the true nature of the cosmos itself. Space is an ocean of darkness broken only by scattered stars and galaxies, islands of light separated by unimaginable voids of emptiness. The light we see represents only a tiny fraction of what exists, with vast stretches of the universe lying in permanent shadow, too far from any star to ever be illuminated. Dark matter and dark energy, mysterious substances we cannot see, make up most of the universe's mass and energy. In this context, our sunlit planet is a rare and precious exception, a bright oasis in an endless night. Perhaps this is why we find the creatures of darkness so fascinating, because they live in conditions that are, cosmically speaking, far more common than our world of light. The universe itself prefers the quiet dark. Every time you close your eyes, you enter a darkness not unlike the one these creatures call home. When you close your eyes tonight, you will enter a world very similar to the one inhabited by the creatures we have explored together. Your visual cortex will slowly go quiet, your other senses will sharpen gently, and your body will begin its nightly transformation into a creature of the dark. In sleep, we all become temporarily blind, navigating the landscape of dreams without sight, guided only by memory and sensation and feeling. The blind cave fish and the deep-sea anglerfish live their entire lives in the state we enter every night when we surrender to rest. Perhaps this is why the darkness of sleep feels natural rather than frightening, because we carry within us the ancient memory of life before eyes evolved, before light became essential. When you drift off tonight, you join the oldest tradition of all life on Earth. In the dark, there is no need for appearance, only presence. One of the most liberating aspects of life in complete darkness is the freedom from the burden of appearance. Without light, there can be no color, no display, no visual judgment. Creatures in caves and the deep sea do not need to look impressive or attractive by visual standards, only to function effectively in their lightless world. Many have lost all pigmentation, becoming pale or translucent, conserving the energy that would otherwise go into coloring their skin. They do not need to hide from predators' eyes or attract mates with bright patterns, relying instead on chemical signals and vibrations. In this way, darkness offers a kind of simplicity, a stripping away of everything non-essential until only pure function remains. There is a lesson here for us all, a reminder that in the right darkness, we too can let go of appearances and simply be present. The creatures of complete darkness teach us that life does not need light to be beautiful. We have traveled tonight through caves sealed for millions of years and ocean depths where the sun has never shone. We have met creatures that see with sound and taste with their entire bodies, animals that glow with their own light, and others that have forgotten light exists at all. And perhaps the deepest truth they teach us is that beauty does not require illumination. The elegant form of a glass sponge, the patient grace of a Greenland shark, the delicate dance of bioluminescent sparks in the abyss, all of these are beautiful not despite the darkness, but because of it. Dark places have shaped life into forms we could never have imagined, and those forms are as wondrous as anything found beneath the sun. As you close your eyes tonight, remember that darkness is not emptiness. It is simply another canvas upon which life paints its endless wonders. And so our journey through the lightless places of our world draws softly to a close. We have drifted from the sunless depths of the ocean, where creatures carry their own stars within their bodies, to the ancient silence of caves sealed for millions of years. We have followed the star-nosed mole through tunnels of earth and watched the owl hunt by sound alone. We have seen life persist in boiling vents and frozen aquifers, in places where no human could survive. And through it all, we have learned that darkness is not emptiness, but a different kind of fullness, where senses sharpen and time moves slowly. If these quiet wonders brought you peace tonight, consider staying with us for more journeys through the sleeping world. A like, a comment, or a subscription helps other tired souls find this place. There are more gentle facts waiting, more calm corners of science to explore together. Right now, as you lie here in your own soft darkness, your body is doing what these creatures have understood for millennia. Your pupils have widened, your heartbeat has slowed, and your senses are shifting toward rest. You are not so different from the Ohm in its ancient cave or the deep-sea fish drifting through endless night. In this moment, darkness is your friend too. Let your eyes close now, if they have not already. Feel the weight of your body sinking into wherever you rest. Let your breath become slow and steady, like the movement of water in a cave that has known nothing but stillness for ages. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be. Let the darkness wrap around you like the sea wraps around a creature of the abyss, gently, completely, safely. Tonight, as you rest, the creatures of darkness continue their quiet lives. The anglerfish still drifts through the abyss with its tiny lantern. The Ohm still waits in its cave, patient and pale. The owl still turns its head towards sounds too faint for human ears. and the deep ocean still holds its secrets in waters that have never known the sun. You are a small, warm presence within this vast world of gentle darkness, peacefully resting among the wonders. Sleep well, sweet dreams, and may you carry with you the quiet knowledge that even in complete darkness, life finds a way, and rest is always waiting for those who seek it. This has been Drowsy Discovery. Good night.